Hello, this video is going to be a little bit rough because we're focusing on the hero's journey. I haven't yet figured out how to maximize the size without making PowerPoint freeze. So hopefully you can just look at this small version and I'll narrate it so that you understand the hero's journey. Basically, most of the time I would advise a student to write in a story form because they're engaging. And that doesn't mean it's the best form of writing a personal statement. It depends on what you're trying to establish, what you're trying to do, and how you want to do it. Story I would recommend for 80 to 90% of the time, unless you can justify a better way or argue a better personal statement. So here's the hero's journey. In all of humankind, basically, it's been argued that there's only been one story ever told, and that's the hero's journey. So there's a hero, there's a call to adventure, and there's supernatural aid and threshold guardian. This could be like Journey to the West. Um, there's a call to action, and that's Monkey King, setting off a chain of events in heaven and on Earth, taking the all the superpowers from all the gods and kings everywhere. And there's a threshold, there's a helper, and there's a mentor. So let's switch. I mean, every single story has not every single story has every single one of these elements, but I can use different examples. So let's switch to mentor. The most obvious ones would be Yoda from the Star Wars series, and also another one would be Tuesdays with Maury. That's a really good mentor mentee kind of relationship. And then Temptations. So many stories. So every single character has a character flaw. The essence of a narrative or a story is basically conflict. When you have conflict, you have struggle. When you have struggle, then you need to figure out a way out, and that's the essence of it of a story. How do you do that? Many ways, but resolving that conflict's your goal. So it gives you a starting point, gives you an ending point. And I can get a little bit philosophical here, but let's just stay on point right now. So challenges and temptations. So for what's another book? Challenges and temptations. Lord of the Flies. Okay, that's not related to personal statement writing, but temptations and challenges. Hulk. Okay, that's very simple. He doesn't want to give into his rage, but he kind of wants to at the same time. He actually really doesn't want to, but it's very useful to do so at times. And Iron Man. That's basically vice. That he that's his temptation. Vice is basically temptation. Challenges, and then you hit the abyss. Lord of the Rings. Let's use that. So that's when you get to Mordor, I think, or every time they almost die, Helm's Deep, or when they fight the Balrog. Balrog wasn't that the abyss, but when you get really deep and then you're reborn, Gandalf the Grey turns into Gandalf the White. You're reborn. So every hero, I mean, can be a lot of heroes in a single narrative. But in the personal statement, you're the hero, of course. Transformation, change. Mm, you know, the first time I heard of hero's journey was actually from reading The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and this was it. This is all the elements: transformation. You go in search of your personal treasure, and then you transform from whether it be maturity or what you think is important to you, or leadership, or growing up, or adjustment, independence. So those are all things that can be a part of that can be an integral part of a personal statement. Next, atonement. You make up for all the things that you did wrong. So going back to Monkey King, he has to guide his master to the west as atonement to make up for what he messed up in heaven and on earth. And they all return happily ever after in most situations. It doesn't always have to end like that in a personal statement, because what's also nice is that, like, a little bit of a yearning for more, and that's where the college can fill in the gap. They can be like, you can be like, oh, okay, that's why Penn State is a good fit for me, because you can do that thing that I need you to do, and that will help me complete my hero's journey, and I can't do it without you. The more specific, the better. Washington, or any school, but you want to tailor it to them. So um, MIT has this professor, or Duke has this professor, or you know, whatever it is that makes you tick, that makes you move forward, that makes you complete the circle. That's your own personal journey, and it's all about what you've learned. It's all about how you've changed, how you've developed. And the trap of it is there's only one story, which means it's very formulaic. So there are ways to make formulaic stories unformulaic as well, by doing things that are unorthodox, like um, personifying inanimate objects is one. Writing with beautiful imagery, many different ways. But the point is, the fundamental is the hero's journey, and that's the structure of a narrative.